It's total cope. Don't actually log into the product. Yeah, I know you're supposed to dog food, and the results were way worse than I expected. Hey everyone, I'm Claire Vo, founder and creator of ChatPRD. For those that are new here, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Now, let's dive in. Last week, I shared a poll on X asking folks what percentage of their company uses their own product daily. And the results were way worse than I expected. Over 40% of people who responded work at places where less than 10% of the company uses their own product daily. This means that these folks are just walking around. I guess not walking around. They are slacking around their virtual office with a whole bunch of people who are working on a product they don't use. This was totally shocking to me. So in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what dogfooding is and actually 10 things that I call my dogfooding non-negotiable. These are things that are going to make you a better product manager and a leader. So first, what is dogfooding? If you haven't heard this term before, you're probably not in startups, but it comes from the idea that everyone should eat their own dog food. So basically, if you're making something, you should use it. It's really about using your own product as a user would, as frequently as a user would. I've led a lot of product teams, and the best ones make it a priority to dog food their product. They really embrace customer empathy because they themselves act like customers. You get a sort of fresh take on the user experience and the value that your product's adding when you're forced to use it. And it takes everybody out of the hypothetical work of product management in docs and specs and meetings and really puts it back to, have we built something useful that's fun to use that drives enough value that somebody would pay for it? So as a product leader, I have a couple dogfooding non-negotiables. This means that everybody on my team needs to think about these things when considering how they use their own product. So my first one is pretty basic. Everybody dog foods. And this means that everyone has a production account and they use it in real life scenarios. In companies, you'd be really surprised the number of folks that work there that don't actually log into the product. I say no. I think that everybody should have a production account for the product and as much as possible should use it in real life scenarios. And this goes to my second non-negotiable, which is yes, leaders, you too. So leaders, managers, executives, etc. must actually use the product on a regular basis. I hate to say it, but as you rise in seniority in companies, a lot of times your time becomes time in meetings or time in strategy or time in docs and time in decks or talking one-on-one to your teammates. And you actually forget that the core of your business is building a product that end users love and use. And you have to stay close to that product, especially as it evolves. So I think it's super important that everybody that's on my staff, these are VP plus folks across the company, actually use the product on a regular basis and have an opinion on it. So that goes to my dogfooding non-negotiable number 3, which is everyone on the team should be able to do a basic demo. So you should be able to do the elevator pitch of the product and actually walk a user or kind of somebody new to the product through the key value propositions and how to use this. This requires that you have that production account that I told you about, but then also you know why people use the product and what are sort of the common journeys through it. If you were running a mobile app, for example, consumer mobile app, you would want to be able to pitch somebody, whether it's your cousin or a friend that works at another startup or a customer, this is the mobile app, this is what it does, here's how you sign up, and here's the most valuable thing in the app and how it works. And you want to get people to that wow moment. And so it's not just about functionally using the app. It's really about understanding the value, the positioning, and why somebody would invest some of their time and money in using something that you built. This goes to my next non-negotiable, which is product managers, engineering managers, and design leads cannot outsource testing to just engineers. They must also go end to end through products personally. What I often see is product managers make specs, design managers make design, or design leads make design, engineering managers make project plans, and then they tell the engineers to build it and they leave it to the engineers to test. What I tell my product managers on teams that I lead is, they're responsible. So it's not just enough to trust that the product was implemented correctly. You should go through end to end like a new user, new things that are being built, and you should provide feedback on that experience. It's not enough that engineers are saying it's functionally working. Everybody, including management, should go through it and make sure that it meets the experience and value needs of your customers. My next non-negotiable is a fun one, which is have an opinion and share it. So many people use their product and kind of get used to the sharp edges, the pieces that aren't that fun to use or are a little bit more complicated to use. And they sort of think, oh, that's our product. That's just how she is. And instead, I really encourage folks to have a strong opinion on the product that they're building and share it. So as you're using it, saying, hey, I hate every time that I get to this form and there's no default. Or that alignment on that button just is really weird. Or, we use this pink over here, but the pink over there is different. Can we just make this more consistent? Or I got really confused by this part of a product and I think we should rethink how we onboard people to it. Having an opinion and sharing it is so useful because everybody in the company, if they're using the product, kind of gets used to stuff. You become experts and you become a little bit used to what you see every day. So taking a step back, having the opinion and sharing it is a great way to improve your product over time. My next non-negotiable is a tough one. And this is what came up so many times in the comments on my X thread about dog fooding. Everybody said, yeah, I know you're supposed to dog food, but I'm not a Target user. And I just think that's, I think I called it in the X comments, it's total cope. Like you have got to be able to really have customer and user empathy and embrace the mindset of a Target user and try to figure out how to use it. So I lead a product team at LaunchDarkly. We are a developer tool and codes the product. So guess what, product managers? You better learn to write code. If you don't already, you gotta start. So I think it's an excuse to say I'm not the Target user. That's why I don't have to use the product. I can just use Figma or documents. No way. Figure out who is your target user, figure out what problems they're trying to solve, and then come to the app on a regular basis with that mindset. It's going to make your product a lot better. My next non-negotiable is about what is quote unquote the product. And I think the product is everything. So my non-negotiable is you have to dog food the whole service. People think when I talk about dog fooding, they're like, yeah, I click the buttons in the app. No. The service is what makes the product. So if you have a customer support function, you should be asking for customer support when you're dog fooding. If you have activation emails as you become a new user, you should read those. If you have marketing emails, you should read those. If you have docs and you're a developer tool, you should actually go through the docs and make sure it makes sense. All those things are part of the product, and you have to have a lens on the full experience to understand how your users use your product. My next one is about mindset, which is you should come to everything with sort of an unforgiving newbie eye. So this is a little bit of what I said when you need to have an opinion. You have to come to it and say, if I were totally new to this product, what would I think about this content? What would I think about this design? What would I think about this functionality? Not your jaded expert eye that has been working on this product for years and years and years. Really try to come to things with a new eye. One of the exercises I like to tell people to do is just sign up for your app. Brand new as a new user, and remind yourself what that experience is like. Start fresh. A lot of great dog fooding teams had very advanced implementations of their own product, especially in B2B. And so they kind of know everything. You need to take it back on purpose to the new user's eye and make sure that your 0 to 1 experience is really great. My next two non-negotiables are actually about competition. So it would surprise you how many people work on a product and their team still pays for a competitive product or a product that's very close and competitive. That to me says there's something wrong with your product. It's the classic, if you work for hardware device number 1 and you use hardware provider's device number 2 in your day-to-day, maybe there's something wrong with your product. And so really thinking about how internally, end-to-end, operationally, you use SaaS vendors in particular, if you're B2B, or apps or devices, if you're in consumer, and really thinking about, are we forcing ourselves to use our product as we're expecting our customers to depend on that product? And if we can't depend on that product, what gaps do we need to fill? But My second and very last non-negotiable on dog fooding and competition is you have to use your competitors' products deeply as well, presuming you can. So you should know not only your product inside and out, but what are the alternatives to your product, and really compare them on a fair basis. I often find that understanding your competitors, looking at their products, figuring out what you really like about what they've built, and figuring out what you're really doing better at can make your overall product better. So that's it. That is 10, I believe, unless I miscounted. Those are 10 dog fooding non-negotiables from me on how you can use using your own product to make your product work better. I hope you found this video helpful, especially if you're looking for ways to up-level your product management skills, leadership skills, or simply learn how to grow in your tech career. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more from me, please subscribe. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you later.